Hey, what's up friends, Moses here from Driver Success. I hope you guys are doing well. So in today's video, I just want to talk to those of you that are new to trucking. Those that are either considering getting into trucking, or it may be that you are even in trucking school waiting to go for training. And maybe it could even apply for those of you that are done with training and are just going to start to go on your own as a solo driver. But for the most part, those that are already done with training have probably experienced most of these things that I'm going to talk about. I just wanted to let you know some of the things you should expect, or things that shouldn't take you by surprise when you start driving trucks, like when you go for training. Just because you enjoy driving your small car doesn't necessarily mean that trucking will be easy. Most people, when they come to trucking, they probably even haven't driven for a long distance. They think they enjoy driving, but they haven't driven for really long periods of time without like taking breaks. So when you come into trucking, don't let the fact that you quote-unquote enjoy driving, or that you have no problem with driving, don't let that make you think that driving a truck is easy. You are going to have to learn to drive for long periods of time without stopping. You have to have the stamina of driving, especially if you are going to be driving over the road. Which I want for those people that are starting out in training to kind of have that mindset. Instead of thinking of local runs, first think that you're gonna go drive over the road, because for the most part, most of the companies that hire and train, they will have you go over the road. And when you go over the road, it means that they're gonna give you to run loads that need to pick up and deliver on time. And some of these loads are really far away, and so you really have a tight schedule you are running on. And so think of driving that truck for a minimum of 4 hours non-stop. You don't want to be the kind of driver that stops every hour or every 2 hours. If you can, you want to sit in that seat and drive for 3, 4, 5 hours non-stop, just because you want to make it on time. And so one of the things that I want you to understand is that just because you enjoy driving your small car, don't let your guards go down thinking that it's the same with driving a big truck. Unless they tell you that you'll be home, maybe like you get a trainer who is usually home, maybe like on the weekend, or they are regional drivers, expect to be on the road for a long period of time, probably 2 or 3 weeks during your training. And then you go back home, and then you go back on the road for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. So don't be surprised if they tell you you are going to be out training for maybe 3 weeks or even a month. Prepare for that. When people think about being away from family, they don't really know what that means. It can be if you have a spouse, or you have young children, it can be really tricky. And I think I have talked about this before, but I just want to make sure that I say it again, because some people ask me questions because I haven't talked about these things lately. So that's why I want to make sure that you understand that when you go out for training, it's gonna be for a long period. So prepare yourself mentally, prepare your spouse, prepare your children, prepare your friends, whoever you know that you've been in contact with for a long time. Just let them know that you may be gone for a long period of time, and you want to prepare for that mentally too. One of the things that usually trucking companies use as a selling point when coming into trucking is they tell you how you are going to see the country, and you are going to be touring. And some of us come with this kind of I don't know what I should call it, the expectation that we are going to be seeing these wonderful places and all that stuff. Although that is true that you will see some of these places, you have to understand that you are going to be working. which means you're going to be seated in that seat and you're going to be driving. You are not going to be turning off of the freeway looking for nice spots where you can see the country. So most of the stuff you're going to see is going to be on the highway, and when you get off, maybe to go make a delivery. So don't be so overly excited about seeing the country. You will see some nice places, but that's gonna be when you are driving. You won't have as much time as you may think to just chill out, and just because of the size of the vehicle, you are also not going to have the time or the opportunity to go and see stuff. That is something that you will plan for during training. Don't even think about it. This may or may not be your experience, but personally, when I was training and from the people I talked to, other drivers during training, they all had the same experience. And the experience is that you will be driving at night most of the time. When you come into training, again, as I said, you'll be thinking of seeing the country, and then all of a sudden, the trainer may plan you in such a way that you drive during the night. So prepare for that. Now, when I was training, I didn't see the advantage of that, but I want to encourage you to look at it from a different perspective. Don't look at it as if the trainer is maybe taking advantage of you. Look at it as part of the training. And the reason I say that is because when you go out on your own, sometimes you will have to drive at night. Even though you may not want to drive at night, some of the loads they give you will require you to drive at night. And you want to be the kind of driver that doesn't refuse loads. I mean, you want to keep moving. You want to be known by your manager and by your company as the driver that gets things done. And the way to do that is to make sure that every load they give you, you just get that load and you run. As long as you have the hours, you want to learn to drive, whether it's at night or during the day. Night driving can be really, really tricky, and it's so tiring. So that is one of the things you are going to have to mentally prepare for. You are going to be seated for long periods of time. When you add on driving at night, it can be really, really tricky, and it can be really, really tiring. So you want to prepare for that mentally. If you're somebody like me that wants to take showers every day, like 2 showers, that won't happen. So prepare for yourself to know that you won't be showering every day, especially when you're driving as a team, like when you are with your trainer and it's like a team operation. That truck has to keep on moving, and so chances are your trainer won't have you showering every day. Again, as I said, some of these you may or may not experience. But even when you go, there are times when you may be tied up at a customer place, or you go somewhere where there is no truck stop, and you are stuck there for the night, and there's no way you can take a shower. So that's why I made a video telling you some of the things you should pack, and I said remember to pack some sanitary wipes that you can use to clean up. Parking is going to be a challenge. You'll go to truck stops and then there's no parking. You will have to learn on how to find good parking spots where to park, and also how to park on the side of the freeway, like off ramps and on ramps. You've got to figure out how you are going to be able to manage your time, and realize that parking can be a struggle, like when you get to truck stops. That's why again, when we go back to the issue of driving at night, some drivers, what they've decided to do is they make their schedule where they drive some of the night so that they get parking during the day. You've got to figure out a way where to park, like on the side of the road or side of the freeway. Even after you've planned yourself and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take this time, I'm gonna go in and I'll be out, and then I go find this trucking spot, you go to a customer and maybe the load isn't ready, they are going to get you in there and they're going to delay you. And the next thing you know, things go totally different from how you planned. You thought you were going to have your dinner or your lunch or whatever at a truck stop close by, and then all of a sudden you're caught up at a customer's place. There's no way you can leave the customer. My encouragement is always have a bunch of quarters and $1 bills. You want to have those with you at all times, because if you ever get in a situation where you don't have anything to eat or drink, but there are vending machines, then you want to be able to use some quarters or $1 bills. Also, as much as possible, always have snacks and at least some water on your truck. Try and figure out snacks like what do they call them? Power bars, things like peanuts, if you like peanuts. I mean, dry stuff that could be able to help you just in case you are caught up somewhere. But also have some quarters and $1 bills just in case you don't have anything in the truck because you didn't plan for it. Those quarters and $1 bills will help you if the customer has vending machines. This may look like a minor thing, but again, as I said, I want to kind of prepare you guys so that you are not taken by surprise. So especially during the summer, you are driving down the freeway and the next thing you know, your tire is out and you have to call for road service. Those guys sometimes take a long time depending on where you are. You may be way out there where you are very far from service places. When you have a tire blowout, you call the company, or you use the Qualcomm. Sometimes you're in a place where even your reception, there's no reception. You can't even make a call. You can try and rely on the Qualcomm and Qualcomm or PeopleNet or whatever. And it may take a long time for road service to come to you. Sometimes it may take even 3, 4, 5 hours, depending on where you are. So always remember that when it comes to road service, sometimes if you are far away, it's gonna take a long time. So you've got to learn, by the way, how to always know where you are, like know the mile markers, know the exits, try and know the places where you are, because if you are stuck out there on the road, you're going to have to call road service. They will want to know where you are. But again, the main thing I wanted to tell you is that road service takes a long time if you are far away from services. Much as we have maps and GPSs, for some reason or another, things may not work out the way you plan. And getting lost is something that could easily happen even to somebody with experience. So you get somewhere, maybe the map or the GPS was telling you something, then you get there, maybe they closed that particular route and the GPS hasn't been updated, and so you get to the place where you thought you were going to make a turn and you can't make a turn. Or you get to a customer address and the address is completely wrong. Now, usually if you have a Google Maps, you should be able to check out that place and to make sure that it's the right address. But for some reason, I know that at least one of the things that could easily disrupt your routing is construction. You get to a place and maybe they closed off the road, and so you have to use a different route, and if you didn't plan for route B, then all of a sudden you're in a mess. Or you go out there and that place, like the roads are not good on the maps, and for some reason or the other you get lost. So one of the things you want to do is always call the customer. Usually when they dispatch you, they will give you the number to the customer. So call the customer and talk to someone in shipping or someone in receiving, and make sure they know you have the 18-wheeler. Sometimes you may talk to somebody and those people, they think they are just directing someone in a small car. So just make sure they know that you are coming in with an 18-wheeler. Most of the customers, actually, sometimes they will have the directions already on the phone system. So when you call, they will give you an option to get the directions from the phone itself. It's already recorded. But if you talk to somebody, let them know you have an 18-wheeler. Let them help you out. Tell them you are coming. They will ask you where you're coming from. Tell them where you're coming from, and then they should be able to help you. They already, even when there's construction, they should be able to know what the alternate route is. But getting lost is for real. Now, one of the things you should never be afraid of if you get in that situation, don't be afraid to pull over, stop that truck, and first figure out where you're going. Sometimes drivers, especially new drivers, they panic. They realize maybe they can't make that turn or there's construction, and out of panic they continue driving without knowing what to do. That is really a very bad way to go about it. So the best thing you can do, as much as possible, if you can find a place to pull over, put on your doubles and just stop and figure out where you're going, that will save you. So I think those are the things that I wanted to point out, that if you are coming into trucking, you are just new to the industry, you are just going into training, or you've just completed training and now you are by yourself, you are just out there maybe the first few days or weeks. I just thought that these things should be able to help you out, to prepare you mentally, because they look like simple things, but knowing them helps you mentally prepare for the job. All right, guys, until next time, stay blessed and stay safe. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye bye.